Johnson has submitted applications for emergency use of its COVID-19 vaccine in South Africa. This after use of the AstraZeneca vaccine has been halted due to disappointing trial data. Joining us now is social cohesion advocate Yusuf Bramji, one of the individuals who has volunteered to receive the vaccine. Yusuf, good evening and thank you for joining us on News at Prime.
Good evening, Thabo. Thank you very much.
With a lot of vaccine hesitancy going on in the country right now, what made you volunteer for the program?
Look, Thabo, there was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion around the vaccine. We know a lot of misinformation, a lot of fear has been put into people. We all heard about clinical trials as soon as the test began on vaccinations and vaccines sometime towards the middle of last year. So I was very keen to know what it was all about. And I think what really spurred me on to find out more and to apply to be part of the clinical trial was the fact that so many people were spreading misinformation to say that if you take the vaccine, you're going to die. If you take the vaccine, you're going to get paralyzed, etc. And I then made some inquiries. We know that the Pfizer vaccine, there were some trials running in South Africa. We know the Oxford one had some trials been running for a while, and even Johnson & Johnson. And in the early part of this year, I then found out that one of the many sites in South Africa was at the Lakeside Hospital in Benoni, where Dr. Ismail Mita, a medical practitioner, and his team were also running the Johnson & Johnson phase 3 trial. I then applied and I went in for an interview, and to my surprise, I was accepted, and I then went through the entire process of being part of this clinical trial, the Johnson & Johnson one.
Now, South Africa hopes to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, I think they say sometime this week. But how much do we know about this? When you read that, of course, they were running these trials in Benoni, did you go do a little bit of research, understand how the vaccine was made and the technology that is being used?
Most certainly. I spoke to a lot of people. I spoke to a lot of doctors. I spoke to members of the community, and I also spoke to one or two people who were part of the trial. And thanks, Thabo, to Google, one is able to read, and you're able to get extensive knowledge about some of the universal trends around vaccines. So on the 22nd of January, I then went in for my first screening. So when you go into the clinical trial section of that particular hospital, you are given a leaflet, and it reads a journey towards COVID-19 vaccine, and you are able to ask as many questions as you want to. They then take your blood pressure, they take your weight, they take bloods, and then they prepare you for the vaccine, which the doctor or the health practitioner then administers. I must say that Dr. Ismail Mita, Dr. Nasreen Laher, who's part of the group head of the study program, are very, very detailed. They interview you, they talk about your medical conditions. You're welcome to ask them any questions. The big trick around this vaccine trial, like many of the others, is that it's so-called double-blinded. So you don't know, Thabo, whether you're getting the jab that's a real vaccine or whether you're getting a so-called placebo, which, by the way, has no effect at all. Yeah. So I then went in, I took the vaccine that Dr. Mita and Dr. Nasreen administered. You told about the side effects. And I must say, not knowing when I'm going to get a vaccine or a placebo, the only thing one can perhaps hope for is that you get some side effect that will indicate that you had a vaccine. So you often get a fever, we are told, you get a bit of a sore arm, or you get a cough or a slight throat ache or muscle pain. And believe it or not, and I hope I got the vaccine, 24 hours later, I woke up with quite a bit of muscle pains for the day, a bit of a headache, but that quickly disappeared within hours. I must also add, Thabo, that when you go for the trial, you are given an app. And for the first 7 days, you have to enter almost on a daily basis, or when your condition changes, they give you an oximeter where you can take your oxygen levels and your pulse, which you need to enter. You are given a thermometer. And in the app, they ask you for your temperature. And also, they're giving you a bit of like a measurement or a ruler type of effect, where you can measure, for example, any redness or swelling on the arm. Luckily, I had none of those. And many people I've spoken to had similar side effects, but very, very little. But the majority of them I spoke to informally said that other people had no side effects, possibly.
Oh, we seem to have lost Yusuf Abramji there as he was relating to us the process of being a volunteer in the clinical trials for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is expected to be delivered in the country sometime this week. That is according to the DG at the Department of Health, Mr. Anban Pillay. Hasn't said much about the number, the quantity of those vaccines that we will be getting. But of course, we are watching that as more details become available. This is in line, of course, with the fact that now Department of Health has decided to discontinue its rollout for a moment, or rather suspend its rollout of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now,